Welcome back to Northwest City Politics in the Know with Juanita. We're glad you're joining us for our show again this week. We're always happy that there are people like you out there, people who are interested in what's happening in the cities in our area. Because it is important for good government for there to be kind of a back and forth relationship between the mayors and the city council and the staff and those of you that live in the community. They need to hear from you. So we're glad that you're with us. If you haven't watched our show before, each week we'll have somebody on from one of the 9 cities in Northwest Community Television's viewing area to bring us up to date on what issues and things that are happening. But this year in October, we're going to be having candidates on that are running for the Golden Valley City Council. There'll be 2 candidates for mayor. So I hope that you've got, especially if you're in Golden Valley, I hope that you've got a paper and pencil close by so that you can take down the emails and the phone numbers of the people that are running for office. So if they have issues that you're particularly concerned about, you can be in touch with them. We're very happy to have Marti Micks, who's running for mayor in Golden Valley, and Shep Harris. And what we'll be doing is that each of them in turn will talk about themselves, why they're running for the city council and how their background prepares them. And then I gave them some ideas of topics that I took off of websites of the people that were running for the city council as possible issues that they might talk about. Might be on the Blue Line extension, the Bottineau LRT line, current economic development projects that are going on in the city. There's been a number of housing projects that are going now or that are planned for the future. The future of Brookview's Community Center, values that are important to maintain in the future for Golden Valley, how Golden Valley uses tax increment financing, how they've done it in the past, what they might want to do in the future, increasing communications between the council and citizens, how can this be accomplished, and how they would keep a balance between the services that get provided and the taxes. So they've all been thinking about these issues, probably plus besides other ones, and so we'll be working on both of these. And we're going to start out with Marti Micks. And first, I'll let you tell our audience out there, because I don't introduce people, I let them introduce themselves, but particularly talk about your background and then also reflect on how this prepares you to serve on your city council.
Well, thank you, Juanita, for having us here tonight. I'm Marti Micks, and I'm running for mayor of Golden Valley. And some of the things that have prepared me to serve as your mayor are my education, my volunteer work, in Golden Valley with the League of Women Voters and the local and state studies that I worked on, 3 years experience on the Open Space and Recreation Commission, and my 8 years experience as a city council member in Golden Valley and Housing and Redevelopment Authority Commissioner.
You've had a lot of experience,
I
right?
do,
Yeah.
I have. I've lived in Golden Valley for 40 years and raised my 2 children there. After my husband died, my children were 8 and 9, I went back to school to become a teacher. And I became a social studies teacher and worked for the Osseo School District. Worked in Brooklyn Park at the junior high there, Brooklyn Junior High, as well as Northview Junior High. And I just retired 2 years ago, so I have time now to dedicate to being a mayor if elected. And that is my preparation.
Okay, because it's important for the people out there to have a little background on where you're coming from.
Sure.
But they can always contact you and learn more
Right,
if they've
right.
got questions
Yeah.
about things.
Yeah.
And so then the next thing that I asked you to be thinking about were some of those issues that I already listed. So pick one of them that you'd like to start out with. And tell us what the issue is, frame it, and then what you think should be done on it.
Sure. One of the things that has concerned me is, although we're having redevelopment, which is something we can always applaud, I'm concerned about the rapid rate of redevelopment and the emphasis on just one type of housing.
Okay.
We're going to have 1,400 apartment rentals, which is a lot of housing units for the city to absorb. This will have an impact on fire, police, water, sewer. There's a lot of hidden costs when you have that kind of density of housing. And you know, there's a few of the apartments that will be financed with TIF funding,
Okay.
tax increment
Okay.
financing. And that really means that we won't, as a city, benefit from that apartment for 25 years because there was an awful lot of work to do to remediate the water issues there. I'm talking about Liberty Crossing.
Sure.
So I really would like to look at redevelopment that is going to be giving us a more broad variety of housing.
Okay.
You know, I'm a young senior and not ready to live in an apartment, but the downsizing of homes, that is something where you could live in a one-level living, smaller house, smaller lot, actually sounds enticing, and some cities are doing this.
Okay.
Golden Valley doesn't have that now. So I think that that's something that I would hope that we could encourage developers to maybe look at that as a possibility for that kind of market. So that is kind of what I was looking at with redevelopment. And another issue is we have the Douglas Drive corridor is going to cost $20 million, of which $10 million is being paid for by the Golden Valley taxpayers, plus extra fees on the utilities. Now, that would be good if we had redevelopment as part of it, but we don't have a redevelopment plan. So I think that that's one thing I would really like to see Golden Valley do, whether I'm elected or not. I want to make sure that the council comes up with a vision, working with the business community, working with the community to see what would really be viable. You know, are there tools that they have to do to encourage redevelopment? Every so often, you might need tax increment financing. It should be used very judiciously and only if it's something that would not occur but for the involvement of government. So I really do feel that that is a prime area for redevelopment. Another reason I'm running that relates to redevelopment is some members of the city council want to redevelop an area that's right by me and change the zoning from R1 single family homes and R2, which is twin homes, to high density or possibly commercial. And it really was, there had been such a hoopla over it maybe about 6 years ago. And they did definitely say that this is going to be the zoning and it won't be changed, and then suddenly they're looking at it again. So I want to see redevelopment happening where we've got a corridor where the money is going, where the roads are going to be made for it, and just focus on that. And then we can have, you know, that I think that would really make the city a much more livable city too.
Yeah, redevelopment is a big issue for almost all of our cities around here because they're older and there's areas that need changes.
Exactly. You have to be careful about it, but I think that it well done, it can really add a lot of vitality to the city.
Okay, and then another issue that is of concern to you that you're dealing with as you go out and talk to people?
Well, actually, when I talk to people, we have a wide variety of topics, so I could not cover those all today. But one is the long-term debt. We have $72 million in debt right now, and I was looking at the potential projects over the next 3 years, $50 million, and that's with just a ballpark $20 million for the Brookview Community Center. So there are a lot of costs that are going to be coming in there. It won't raise it exactly to 120 million because 11 million in bonds will be retired next year, which is good, but it's still, it's a very large amount. When we compare ourselves to the city of Plymouth, Plymouth is 3 times the size and only has 50 million in debt. St. Louis Park is much better. I mean, we are a city that really has to be more careful about our use of debt, I believe.
Oh, and then did you want to speak about the Brookview Community Center as an issue separate from the cost?
Sure. You know, Brookview Community Center is one where and I'm a very thrifty person, but I just really did read an awful lot on Brookview Community Center. It has to really be rebuilt. It can't be refurbished. There's just too much that it just wouldn't give the kind of results, so it will have to be rebuilt. The question is how large. I think the city right now is looking at, it currently is almost 20,000 square feet, and I believe they're looking at about a 30,000 square foot community center, which would allow for larger bathrooms, elevator, a play area for families with children. So I think that that could really be an enhancement for the city. More realistic in price, and you know, I think that that would be a real positive for Golden Valley.
Okay, and we've still got time for another issue or two.
Oh, sure, sure. Well, you know, I also have another issue. I had to sound like when I was, but when I was on City Council, we had public hearings for all ordinances. And right now, we don't have public hearings for all ordinances. We do for the planning and development ones, but there is nothing like when we were having the issue of a parking ban that was going to be instituted from November to April. There was no input from the residents. And I was there, I had my research I'd done the night before, and no ability to speak. So I think that that's something that we should allow for, whether people speak or not, at least it's there. There's always 2 readings of every ordinance, and I worked hard to make sure we kept the 2 readings as a requirement, because what tends to happen is the first reading, you tend to get the proponents, those who are in favor of the new ordinance. And then the second reading, you get the people that have just heard about it through the news or through watching it on Northwest Cable, and they are fired up and they want to tell you what they think of it. So at least after the 2 readings, you have heard both sides, and I think you can really do a really good job then of providing an ordinance that fits the city, and you won't have to go back to the drawing board, hopefully.
Okay, right.
Yep.
Okay, any other issues or topics from that list, or
well, you know, we
ones?
could talk about Botno very quickly. Botno is the light rail that would be going through Golden Valley and Worth Park. That's an issue that I wish that I had been on council before, or I don't know whether we could have had an impact, actually. Maybe you could tell us. But it would have been wonderful if had it gone down Highway 55 and perhaps gone up Douglas, or go wander up onto Maple Grove, because that's where all the traffic is coming from. And I really, to me, the idea of light rail should be to reduce congestion on the highways. This particular route, I think, really benefits Brooklyn Park. A great benefit for them, because they need development north of 610. That would be around Oak Grove Parkway Station. And I mean, it will be a very strong asset for Brooklyn Park. And as a regional look, I can see that as positive. But for Golden Valley, I think there are issues that we have to look at before giving municipal consent. And the concept that now Burlington Northern is saying that they need to have space to add another set of rails, because they want to be able to have that expanded freight rail traffic. And then you have the light rail, then you're going to have to build bridges that are much wider. It's getting to be an extremely expensive thing. So suddenly this is starting to sound a little bit more like Southwest Light Rail, rather than that very simple thing of just following the Burlington Northern Rail line up to Brooklyn Park. So it is getting a little bit more sticky.
I want to give you enough time to tell the people out there, particularly in Golden Valley, like when they go out on election day, and we hope all of you do, that you will, that they should vote for you. Give them the reasons why.
Well, you know, one of the reasons I hope you vote for me is I am a team player. I will work collaboratively with the council, with the community, with city staff, to address our growing needs and the increasing costs that we have to face. I'll be a responsible steward of your tax dollars and not incur greater costs than necessary. We have to be cautious about our redevelopment and not overbuild in a hurriedly way. And I think it's important that the council consider, when they're redeveloping, of not changing neighborhoods, not really reducing the quality of life for those neighborhoods. And finally, of course, I want to see the public hearings reinstated.
Okay.
Thank
Well,
you.
thank you very much.
Thank you very
now
much,
we'll
Juanita.
move on to Shep Harris, who's running for re-election as mayor, and I'll let you start out with introducing
Well,
yourself.
thank you very much. And I don't know if I should look at you or look at the camera, but
Well,
we'll go
you
back
can
and
go
forth.
either one.
We'll go back and forth. Well, Juanita, thank you very much. It's nice to be back again. You've been so, it's been an honor to be with you for past shows talking about the great progress that's happening in Golden
Right.
Valley. So thank you for this opportunity. In terms of background, qualifications for mayor, I'll start out with who I think is the most important to me, and that's my family.
Okay.
So my wife and my 3 children, we've lived here in Golden Valley for going on 12 years now. And we moved to Minnesota 18 years ago. When my wife wanted to get a master's degree at the University of Minnesota, we thought we'd just be here a couple of years. And the next thing you know, it's a great place. It's a wonderful place to
Right.
live. It's a
Right.
wonderful place to raise a family. So, 18 years later, here we are. And so we constantly enjoy our time as a family out at park and recreation programs. We're hiking, we're biking in the trails, either in the new Hockey Park or the General Mills Nature Preserve, or going over to Worth Park. And if that's not enough, then there's Golden Valley Girls Softball, which is a real hit in our family. Sorry, pardon the pun, but I mean it really is. It's a lot of fun. And then you've got Park Valley Soccer, and you have Golden Valley Little League. So we keep ourselves pretty busy. Personally, I'm proud to be a member of the Golden Valley Rotary. I'm also a member of the League of Women Voters, Sons of the American Legion. I'm a founder of the new Golden Valley Business Council, as well as the Quad Communities Beyond the Yellow Ribbon campaign. And I am a member of Women Winning. So professionally, though, I still work in the government relations field. So I've been doing work, I have worked with members of Congress and with state legislators, but for the past 16 years, I have been an advocate at all levels of government for a variety of nonprofit or trade associations, including the Jewish Community Relations Council, a Somali youth organization, and the Purpose Center for Arts Education, which is located in Golden Valley. But as mayor, I feel that I'm better qualified as to be to continue on for the next 4 years to keep moving Golden Valley forward, and for a variety of reasons. But basically, what I'm hearing from many residents, what I heard 4 years ago, when I continue to hear, is this desire for progress, a need for housing and economic redevelopment, better outreach, and more cost-effective and efficient government. And I think over the past 4 years, we have made tremendous gains in doing that. And we've also done it in a way that hasn't harmed or changed the character or the special charm of what Golden Valley is and what we want Golden Valley to be in the future. So I can give you more detail in a few minutes, but these accomplishments, I think, have really been the result of good leadership and teamwork between myself, with the city council, with the city staff, and most importantly, with the residents of Golden Valley.
Okay, thank you very much. And remember out there to take down names and emails and phone numbers if you want to be in contact about an issue. And now let's move into some of the issues. Let's start out with one of the issues, either one that we listed or one that you want to add.
Okay. Well, one of the most enlightening pieces of information that I have gained over the past 4 years as mayor is that we are expected to have 2,000 to 3,000 more residents move to Golden Valley over the next 20 to 30 years. And we're expected to have an influx of 7,000 to 9,000 more jobs come to Golden Valley over the next 20 to 30 years. So the question is, where are we going to house these folks? Where are these jobs going to happen? How can we do it in a way that continues to protect that special charm and character of our neighborhoods and of our community? And I think, as I mentioned a couple minutes ago, I think we've done it successfully, but we still have work to do. In basically what I say 3 areas, in infrastructure, housing and economic redevelopment, increased communications and outreach, and then making government more efficient, more cost effective. So if you want, I can give you a couple quick examples.
Yeah, why don't you kind of flesh it out for our audience out there.
The key really is we actually have done so much in 4 years. I can't fit it all into the time, so I'll try to be really quick here. But we have over 1,000 new housing units that's going to diversify and create more opportunities, to Marty's point, for senior citizens, for people with developmental disabilities, and for young families with young children. We have new public playgrounds I don't know why I said public, but new playgrounds. 6 new playgrounds to be exact. We've got the first ever lawn bowling lanes at Brookview Community Center. We've rejuvenated 3 of our city parks. We have a new emergency water backup system. We have a new shopping area over at the intersection of Highway 55 and Boone Avenue.
Oh, right, right.
Centerpoint Energy is putting up their new technical service building along Golden Valley Road and Douglas Drive. And we've even paved the way for future brew pubs to come to Golden Valley.
Right.
So that should make some people happy.
But that's really popular right now, isn't it?
Well, I'll tell you what's even more popular, what will be more popular. We are literally this close. We're getting closer. I just confirmed it with our city staff last week. We are getting closer to bringing a very popular local grocery co-op to the Golden Valley Shopping Mall. Because we have heard loud and clear from residents that they want a grocery store like we once had many years ago.
Right.
They want a grocery store back in Golden Valley so that we can create that in that core area of downtown Golden Valley to be very walkable and walk to that grocery store. So we're working on areas like that, and we have talked about doing more work along Douglas Drive. And yes, we've talked about doing more work on Herald Avenue, but really the focus of that has been not about commercial development, but the fact is, unfortunately, we've had a developer come in, and it's almost been like playing 20 questions. He's tried 3 times. And his proposals, unfortunately, don't meet code. And rather than trying to throw darts at the dartboard and see what sticks, we say, hang on a second, let's back up, let's get as much community input as we can, especially from the neighborhood in that area, but also from the entire community, and find out what do we want it to really look like for this area, especially when it comes to housing.
Now, which area?
This is the Herald Avenue corridor. Thank you.
Because I'm not real familiar with that, because I thought if I don't know, some of our audience might not.
This is the Herald Avenue corridor, which is between Glenwood Avenue and Winnetka Avenue, just south of Highway 55, over by Brookview Park. So it really is about maximizing community outreach and getting as much input as possible, but really focusing on housing development opportunities. Do we want the single-level townhomes that we've approved at Laurel and Pennsylvania Avenue for the senior citizens who don't want to walk up and down the stairs? Or is it going to be the 2-level townhome? Or is it going to be the continuation of the single-family home? We don't know that until we get additional input, which we haven't gotten from the neighborhood on this massive of a scale easily for the past 8 years. So that's some housing economic development. But I'll mention other examples really quickly on communications. 20 neighborhood meetings, multiple open houses and task forces. We now have a Facebook page. We're now cool. We have a teen committee, and we've done a number of different types of city surveys, either online or by telephone. But we're always looking for ways to improve, and so we are going to be doing the long-term strategic plan, known as a comprehensive plan. We're going to kick that off next year and start doing a lot of more outreach to residents to get as much input from them as possible. So, and then in the final area, just in terms of government efficiencies and how to make the government more cost-effective, we've reopened the Golden Valley DMV. That we did in the first year I was mayor. We've put a stop to the Burlington Northern Canadian Pacific rail connector. You might remember the big controversy about that. In Crystal, and it would have come down alongside of Noosa Hockey Park and Worth Park, and we put a stop to that, working in coalition with elected officials at all levels of government. We've saved nearly $150,000 in our budget restructuring our 911 dispatch system, and we worked with Commissioner Linda Higgins on that at the county board. And we've even won some county grant funds for the new Wildwood Playground at the Robbinsdale C School and the new soccer and baseball complex at Sandburg Learning Center. But what I'm most proud of, actually, is we can look back and say we've done all these great things, but we've done it in a way that I think is really fiscally responsible. In fact, city taxes have only gone up. If you look at the average median household, city taxes have only gone up in the past 3 years, $1 per month. And in fact, when it comes to our debt actually isn't as high as it used to be. In fact, back in 2007, it was as high as 82 million. We're down to 72 million, and we've already banked some of that money away. So, in fact, I confirmed it with our finance director today. We're actually really at $61 million in debt because we're prepared and already ready. I know that's a little redundant, but we're in a position to pay off that debt. We're just waiting for the bonds to be called. Realistically, from a ledger perspective, we're really at $61 million. So we're going down. We're going in the right direction. So we've done all this good work, all these accomplishments, and we're also watching our P's and Q's when it comes to our dollars and cents. So
Right.
very happy with our accomplishments, but we still got work to do on some of these items. Of those 1,000 housing units that have been approved, that diversity of housing units,
Right.
only the Arcata has gone up. So we
Okay.
need to make sure that these are being done, that we're not just giving the authorization to do
Right.
it, but they're actually going forward and
Right.
going to be constructed so that we can have a good place for these residents to come in the next 20 to 30 years.
And then any other issues that you wanted to reflect on?
I think I can respond to some of the other issues we've talked about as well. I mentioned Herald Avenue. I would say in terms of the public hearings, I'm always open to discussing. I'm one of 5 members of the City Council.
Right.
And so we have had discussions about how can we get more input, how do we handle situations where residents who want to come forward and speak to the council. And so that's why when we have anything on the consent agenda, we do say that if there's anybody on the council that wants an item individually considered, or someone in the audience who wishes to speak up and speak out on an issue, they're welcome to come forward now. It's kind of like a speak now or forever hold your peace. So there are opportunities. What we've done basically is we've tried to streamline the meetings so we're not there till all hours of the night. I mean, recently, for example, we changed an ordinance. We actually eliminated city code where we used to regulate vending machines. Now Hennepin County does that. And I don't think anybody else on the city council felt like it was necessary to have a public hearing on something that we were actually eliminating from the city code that now another government already does. So we really do have to kind of weigh whether it's necessary to have public hearings on everything, or in that case, you still give the public the opportunity to speak up if they choose to do it. So
then give you plenty of time to tell particularly the people in Golden Valley why on election day they should cast their vote for you for mayor.
Thank you. Well, again, excuse me, I've really had, it's been an honor and it's been a privilege to be the mayor of this wonderful city. There are so many wonderful things about Golden Valley. It's a great place to live, work, and play. We have fantastic neighborhoods, wonderful schools, and what I continue to hear from our wonderful residents is we need to make some progress here. We need to move forward, and we need to be forward-thinking and future-thinking. And so I think we've made some significant accomplishments in the past 4 years in that respect, but we still have some work to do. As I said before, we've diversified our housing stock, we've improved our customer service and our infrastructure, and we're making government more efficient and cost-effective. And so what I've been saying to people at the doors and what I'm hearing back is that it's been a good partnership. We've had good teamwork between the City Council, the city staff, and the residents. And we've made some tremendous gains over 4 years, and I'd like to be a part of that partnership going forward for another 4 years.
Well, I want to thank both of you for taking time out of what I know is a very busy schedule to share your thoughts and your ideas with our whole community, but most particularly pointed at the voters of Golden Valley. And if you didn't have a chance to write things down, keep in mind that these shows will be on our YouTube site. You can go to YouTube /user/NWCT Politics if you didn't get the information down and you want to be in contact with them. But do take the time to find out information from our show, from the League of Women Voters debate, from the Sun Posts. Find all the places that you can, because they're not so hard to find, and then take a time to read and learn about the people that are running as candidates for your city, and then be sure to go out and vote. Thank you for being with us, and we hope that you'll be with us again next week.